So every unit has to go into this
Yeah.
and gets
The
tested.
soap test is individual for each product, highlighting what could or may put in for the test cycle.
How long does a unit stay on this?
Depends on the product. It could be
Look, they make their own. See the sequencer there? They made those themselves. That's how they do it here. They make it. That's like everything that's made here.
the CD players are longer. They're 24-hour
Right.
cycle. The amplifiers are shorter. It's a 1 hour step. Different cycles taking 1 hour, and then a noise test for a further hour.
Okay. And now we're in. Here's motors.
Oh, Jay is one of the moving coil team.
Ah, and he is.
Hi, Jay. Hello.
Hi, Jay. Hi.
So he's slumming it today, putting oil on motors. He's like 2 years.
So you're adding.
You've been doing more than 2 years?
Yeah, more than 2 years.
Seems like 2 years.
So you're adding oil to the motors,
Yeah.
and once it goes onto that bearing, it gets sealed up.
And then like give to them, and then they making they put a CBB on like that. That's the next job.
Okay. And this is
This one made for them.
right, and this you put the seal on. That's after you put the oil and you put the seal. So you seal it up, and then over here. And so,
Yes, thanks you.
and now Rega has moved to exclusive, so 100% aluminum pulleys now.
Yeah, again, that's not our choice, but when we used to have mains powered motors, you can't do that because it's a shock risk. I mean, actually it isn't a shock risk because the motor is double, triple insulated inside,
Right.
but the electrical approval authorities of the world say if it was possible to bypass multiple insulation levels and someone just happened to touch it, then they could get a shock, so we have to use plastic pulleys.
But now we're using
Now, slowly, it's taken a long, long time.
Yeah.
We've gone over to using 100% 24-volt motors now.
and its tolerances of these.
So the tolerance on the pulley can be about a tenth of plastic.
It's much better.
Yeah.
Much better. And is it more expensive?
No,
Really?
not really.
It's not really more expensive.
The cost that's an issue.
So this is the motor,
You could even argue that the plastic we used to reject maybe a third out of tolerance. And we used to get reliability problems. You couldn't glue the plastic as well.
Right.
With this, we can have a press fit. Everything's far better, but it's not us. You know,
it's regulation.
We have to meet other criteria.
So this is a motor pod with a motor and a power supply for it, ready to be assembled.
Yep.
And then she's assembling them over here. She's a motor assembler.
The power supplies also vary product to product.
So when you were growing up, you wanted to be a princess or a ballerina, and you're a motor assembler. That's how life works. But you're making a lot of people happier, believe me, compared to dancing around, prancing around on a stage and making a motor for a turntable. You make a lot more people happier.
You know, there was a time.
When what?
He wanted to be a ballerina.
Oh, I think you would have made a very good ballerina. But I don't want to see you in tights, okay?
I'll go out the next.
What did you want to be? A stunt driver?
Do you want to see him in tights? Because I could arrange it. I have a lot of clothes. No? Okay. And so how do these fit into the? They go up and under.
Yeah.
And this is a contracted part, right?
Well, we design it,
Right.
and then we have an outside supplier, of which we've probably got 10 in England.
Really?
Yeah.
And this is like a rubber mounts.
When the motor is fixed, we now glue. In the early days, we used to. I forget who the name of the guy is in Stereophile. He's talked about motor vibration, etc. And we used to suspend the motor to eliminate the vibration from the turntable.
Right.
But in suspending a motor, you compromise its drive.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
It can be better,
Yeah.
but as the motor gets better and better, and we develop the power supply, the motor drive gets more stable, the vibration drops, and it becomes relevant that you rigidly fix the motor.
Right.
So we got to that point. So rigidly fixing means that whole area fitted on. But reliability, if everything isn't perfect and it's 60 degrees in a shop window, the glue can maybe melt.
Right.
So we also use these probes that push underneath and hold the motor in place. So it's a double rigid coupling, if you like. There's a glue joint and a force joint.
And this is on which foot? This is a P1?
That's a P1, yeah.
So the P1 has gotten a lot more sophisticated over time.
Oh, yeah. Hardly increased. I think it started off at 220 and it's now 235.
No, that's how many years? 10 years?
Ooh, no, 25.
P1 25 years?
Well, it
was called something else, yeah.
We started making the Packeye, I think, and then Golden, and then it's an
Right. And that's a P2. That was a motor in the P2 the same as the P1? Slightly different?
Slightly.
Aside from the sticker saying something different, it's different.
Selection as well.
Yeah. And then he takes it that far and then someone else takes it the next step. That's right.
Power supply is the same.
Okay, so this is a whole stack of them. Okay, and then next over here, she's doing the same thing.
Arm wiring.
So she's testing for continuity.
That's one of the criteria we look for is flexibility.
Flexibility, sure.
Yeah.
Because it's going to go inside the
Remember,
arm.
you've got 5 of those inside the arm.
Right.
Yeah. That adds 10 milligrams to the bearing friction at best.
Maybe someday it'll be wireless.
Yeah. Bluetooth.
Your Bluetooth. And all of these are made in-house. All of these over there.
Thank you. Showing Michael round.
Don't want to crimp your style. Terrible. That was a terrible joke. I'm sure every single person that comes here to do this tells the same joke. Crimp your style.
Yeah, the machine was there. I thought we were watching movies
Why? I don't really know why, so I'm just trying to figure it out,
Just
really.
had all new tooling on it as well, so it might be a little tweak that needs to be happening.
So the machine that's supposed to be crimping is actually cutting the wire?
It's cutting one of them, yeah, it's just too tight somewhere, so what we do is we alternate where we put it, try and resolve it, but it's still...
And it would be this machine that would be doing that?
Yeah.
Wow.
We used to solder, not that long, how long, 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And soldering was a nightmare. I mean, we'd get, 1 in 500 dry joints.
Yeah.
No way around it. You know? And 1 in 5 doesn't sound a lot, but
It is a lot.
you know that's a returned arm, and it would often happen after a year
Yeah.
or so. So we investigated crimping, but if you can imagine that crimping that.
Yeah, there's a very small difference between crimping and cutting. And that's done by the machine.
Yeah, the machine does it.
And again, these screens, we started crimping without the screen, just using eyes, and it worked, but it had the same reliability.
Right, you couldn't really see.
Got the screen. You don't get any nails. I think in 3 years we had our first one back.
Use, just to show you how the actual machine works. You'd put the internal wire and you'd put the head shield, this is called the head shield wire,
Right.
you'd put it together. Obviously, because there's a bit of a problem with it at the moment, it could break the wire, so
And you could lay one on top of the
so
other.
what we do, we line it up with the sleeve in either side of the tools first of all, and then see, it's got to be on
I've seen
top.
that up there.
Yeah. So that's it.
and it's in, and you have to tug it pretty hard for it to come out.
Oh yeah, it's quite strong. And then once we've got obviously 4 colours that make up the loom, and then it goes over to test. Every single one of them gets tested. We do roughly, we'll do 120 in each tray. So it can go over to the other tone arms.
Wow.
But before, we've only had these cameras for about a year or something.
Wow.
A year to 2 years we've had them. But before that, we had to guess where they're sitting. Obviously, by your eye, you can see where the sleeving is going close to the tooling, but you couldn't see whether the actual wire is sitting on top of each other. Obviously, by sitting on top of each other, it's going to make a better connection.
Of course.
So we was obviously getting quite a few rejects because we couldn't see where it was going.
Yeah, these microscopes make a huge
So
difference.
now we've got the camera, we can see exactly where we were actually positioning the wire, and it's just, the reject rate is just falling.
Sure, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So, but we normally, the machine's not normally, isn't fine. We do like hundreds and hundreds every day. We feed the tone arms over there, and at the moment, the tone arms crimp on the end of the wire, which this machine does, which I can show you as well.
And you buy these clips. They come in a roll.
These are obviously made. This is the eggshell wire, and one of our main cutting machines cuts it over there, so it strips one end, but this machine, the PP3 machine, actually strips it and puts the crimp on it. All you do is put that into there. I don't know if you can see. And
Yeah, I wish I had one of those at home.
Yeah, and it's perfect every time. So what we do for upstairs tone arms, we just do that for them, and then they get sent out, and then the internal wire gets soldered to the actual pin. The reason
the more
why,
expensive ones.
it's the same wire that we use, but the reason why we don't do the splicey bit for the tone arms over in RP1s is because the bung that actually sits inside the actual tone arm itself, the holes are too small. The splicey bit will not go through it, as where the RP1 tone arms it goes into a sponge. I don't know whether you've been over there already. It sits into a sponge, so the splicey bit it will go into it. I think at the moment Phil is looking at ways of us feeding tone arms upstairs as well. So I think that's an ongoing thing. And it's great because we're going to bring it in-house as well. But every department in here, we feed something. We make something for them from this department. This department is three years old now, so it is still fairly new, but it's grown so quickly. First of all, when we first started off, there was only just a few jobs that we were doing in here, and now there's just so much work. But show me but every job that we do in here.
Wow. This
is my little my library. Every job has got. I'll show you. It's say a PCB, which is this is our RPA.
Oh, so it's got not just the description in that bag. It's got one I've actually of the part. Here's a bunch of motors. This is not for a long. This won't last for. This will be used very quickly.
Oh yeah. That's less than a week.
Less than a week's supply of motors. Amazing. Okay.
So where do you want to start with the Planner 1?
Okay.
The Planner 1 has a section all of its own.
And that's your highest volume turntable because it's the least expensive, right? Hi. So these are phono preamps right here?
Yeah, mini phonos.
This is a mini phono and it's got an A to D on it.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's got a no, yes it has, yeah. A to D.
and what does this sell for?
£90.
Wow.
The Planner One used to be made, I mean turntables were all one department at one
Right.
point, but they're different disciplines. If what you saw going on there, hand selection of bearings,
Sure.
you can't do that at this
Right,
level.
right.
So we manufacture different tolerances, we use different bearings,
Right.
we use an adhesive to fit the bearings in so that eliminates the play.
Right.
It needs a different mindset, a different.
Sure.
It's not no care. It's
Right.
a different type of
Different.
care.
Right. Right.
So the different people, different processes, different training. The arms get made alongside the tables.
Wow. Look at how many arms there are, and it gets fitted with a cartridge. It comes with a cartridge, and this cartridge is sourced from Audio Technica. Is that right?
This is it's an audio, but it's an Audio Technica made in China.
Right. It's a
We were part of the choice and the decision at the end.
Is it a carbon fiber?
Yeah, that chips a carbon fiber cantilever, which is more robust.
Yes. And what's going in the garbage there?
Oh, this is
This is after he takes the
multiple
part.
processing. That's a die casting.
Right.
After the die casting, it has to be what's called fettling, which is taking off the flesh from the casting.
Right.
It's then put in a machine that's rumbled, which it vibrated with ceramic chips to get a nice smooth finish.
Right.
They then come to us. We then quality control it. You'll see that in a while.
Right.
Once they're quality controlled and that there will be some additional processing usually, they're sent out for finishing, powder coating.
Right.
Okay. Now there are threads in there, so they have to be masked. So these are put in by hand, little cardboard tubes. And they're
Oh,
powder
that's what
coated,
he's taking out.
And he's taking those
and
out.
putting the bearing in.
So that the thread is left. He's putting a little chamfer on the edge to take off any little. When you powder coat, the corners build up little extra bits
Sure.
of powder coating. So it's just getting rid of those.
I see. Okay, so this is
That's checking that the threads.
right. It's in there already.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, so it's a two-part process of three-part. He's inspecting the yoke first, then he's taking out.
He's too careful.
He's too careful. Faster, faster, faster. We'll get there in a minute. These are these plastic bearings or not?
The bearings themselves on this arm now are
Plastic, and we haven't seen that yet, though. We're seeing. Oh, they're in there already. I see. So it's in there, and then you put in the brass part.
Yep.
I see. Okay. Now I understand. First the wire goes in. And this takes a lot of time to make too. I mean, even though it's the least expensive, it's obviously a time-consuming process. Oh, you missed a wire. It's because I'm here. It's my fault. I take full responsibility.
That's all right.
I'll buy that arm.
Never take responsibility, Michael.
I do too.
No one ever does, do they?
No.
It's always someone else.
All right, and then those go in. And this is still a cast arm?
No,
It's not a cast arm. So what is this made out of?
that's an aluminium tube.
That's a.
HD8, I think that's the specific.
That's a machine part.
It's
How is
not
that made?
machined, no, it's an extruded.
Extruded.
tube.
Okay.
The two parts are assembled together using a technique used on fishing rods. believe it or not.
Okay. All right. We'll leave you alone so you won't feel pressured. Different, right? Okay, and then over here, same job. So
No.
3 people. No, different job.
No, I'm putting the wires in for the cartridges to go on.
I see.
So basically I do this and then the guys then they'll put it together.
Okay. So it's pre what they're doing.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the ground wire.
Yeah.
She's fast.
6 years.
Yeah. Worked in almost every area, every department. Massive experience.
Yeah, I think the only place I haven't done is cartridges and the theatres.
You're going to try it?
I don't think I've got the patience to do the theatres. Oh.
Okay, and this part is the
vertical bearing. Again, the same plastic bearing.
Yeah.
I can give you the engineering articles on those and the magazines.
Yeah, sort of. I did see that. I read it yesterday. Yeah, pretty interesting. As long as it spins, we're in good shape. And then over here. I like that. And now the cartridge goes in here. Now, who sets the overhang on this cartridge?
It's fixed. Yeah, everything is tolerance, so the stylus is level, that the correct position is the front of that hole.
Ah, I see.
Yep. And on most of the other turntables, there are 3-point cartridges in a fixed position. But the turntables are made with the arm hole within 0.5 millimetre tolerance.
Make it easy for people that don't want to get the gauge and do their own.
They can, yeah.
And so this head shell is put on someplace else. Somebody's assembling that. I don't see where that's happening. Someplace along there. Okay. And over here we're doing that.
Might be done separately somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, and then over here we're putting the base of the arm together.
On this arm, we've decided to have a fixed bias. I don't know if you'll agree with that or not.
Well, every
First time users, they get very confused.
Yeah, and every cartridge that's going to probably go in this arm is going to be a similar tracking force, and so and anti-skating.
What is it? It's a compromise anyway.
Right, and anti-skating is always a compromise.
So
skating
we have it, but it's fixed.
Yeah. As we've lectured people, skating is dependent upon the vinyl formulation, the stylus profile, the tracking, the tracking force, and the amount of modulation in the groove, and it's changing all the time.
It changes continuously.
Right. But no anti-skating means it's going to ride the inner groove the whole way, so you've got to apply some and a little.
There's even a movement in Japan that believes no anti-skating effects.
That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense.
It makes a difference of about 1/8 to 1/10 of a gram. That's the difference in it. If you're into that.
I'm not into the stylus riding the inner groove the whole way in, which is what's going to happen if there's no counterforce. That's my feeling.
That's our way on these arms only.
And I think that makes sense.
I think we'd like to do it far more, but market acceptance.
Yeah, I'm not sure you'd get market acceptance in that. But having the magnetic thing works well too. Yeah. Okay, so let's see what's going on next here. Now.
Another one.
At just 59p each. Chestnut mushrooms.
We're putting together the
Also just 59p each. What do you think they go?
dust cover. Now, these are only for the RPM one, this particular kind of dust cover?
No, that's used throughout the turntable range.
It is.
We will, in a small, you can't make a perfect dust cover.
Right.
It's clear.
Yeah.
There's always, if you look, hold it up and look carefully.
So the lesser ones go
So
here.
we'll select.
And that's fine. That's exactly what a lower priced item is.
We're on, in 40 years, we are on, I think, our 5th tool. And can you believe those tools, when I started, the normal price was £60,000, and I got a guy in Denmark to make one for 20,000.
On this section it shouldn't be too much. Yeah, take me now.